go, Tiffany.
No, I'm just fine.
Give your husband some airtime. You suck all the oxygen out.
You really do, but I'm good with it.
I admit that. Mm-hmm. I give forth I project very strong firstborn energy.
Yeah.
Can't help myself.
And I'm a number 2.
And you're a number 2. That's why we get along so well.
Is it?
As the cold winds of winter sweep in, there's nothing like the warmth of a comforting cup to help you slow down and unwind. This is the season. Let Postum be your cozy companion. Made from roasted grains, Postum is caffeine-free and rich with a smooth roasted flavor. It's the perfect drink for those quiet, chilly mornings. Whether you're curled up with a good book, sharing a laugh with loved ones, or simply watching the snow fall outside, a cup of Postum is the moment you have been waiting for.
If you like meaningful LDS products that don't feel mass-produced, you should check out Latter Day 3D Studio. We design and 3D print magnets of many varieties, including temples and the Christus, as well as clean modern ties you can wear to church or inside the temple. Use code LDS for 15% off, available now for listeners. Everything is thoughtfully designed, printed in-house, and created to quietly reflect faith without being flashy. Head to latterday3dstudio.com and don't forget to use code LDS again at checkout to save an extra 15%. Latter Day 3D Studio, meaningful faith, thoughtfully made.
Welcome to This Week in Latter Days. This is the date edition, which means this is Darren and Tiffany here. And just in case you want to know what the date edition means, I don't know if you recall, Darren, when we recorded last week, I put out a call to our friend David Larson. And I said, David, give me a good acronym for when Darren and I podcast. And he said, the date edition. It stands for Darren and Tiffany Engage.
Dang, he's good.
He's so really good. So this is going to be...
Did he just give you one? Or did he give you a couple to choose from?
No, he just gave me this one.
Sweet.
So we are now going to be known as T-Wild, the date edition, for Darren and Tiffany Engaged. Because I think we have kind of decided that, you know, our previous acronym was TWIM, that now we're going to go with T-Wild. And we've got some T-Wild siblings. We've got the T-Wild sisters. Now we have the T-Wild date edition.
Nice. I like it.
I like it too. So shout out to David and thank you very much.
He always comes through.
He does always come
instantly.
Through. He does. He has struggled trying to find one from Ariane and I because nothing is really flowing, but the date edition, yeah, nice. That's good. So, all right, before we begin tonight, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors this year. One of our sponsors this year is Latter Day 3D Studio. And for those who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to hold up what they sent us. See this right here? This is a little 3D print, and it has a magnet in the back, and it's of the Boise Temple. They asked me, what temple would you like? And I picked the Boise Temple. Darren, why do you think I picked the Boise Temple?
It's old school.
Well, it is old school. It's the first temple in the valley here.
And that is where we got married.
It is. We both took out our endowments in the Boise Temple at very different times. And yes, this is where we got sealed. So I will always have a very fond affinity towards the Boise Temple.
Love it.
Even though that's not really our temple district anymore. I still love it.
And we go there a little bit.
We do. The Boise Temple is just small. It's very intimate.
It's comfy.
It's comfy.
Yes.
Well, what can I say? So anyway, if you want a little temple magnet,
they're pretty cool.
They are really cool. Reach out to Latter Day 3D Studio, one of our sponsors, and get yourself a little temple magnet of the...
And they look cool on the fridge.
Oh, so cool on the fridge. So, in fact, I'm going to go return this to our fridge after we're done recording. All right, let's talk about what happened last weekend in our ward for sacrament meeting. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. I loved it.
Okay, so do you want to start with the story, or do you want me to give them a
which story is this?
Summary. This would be the story of our special visitor that we had.
Oh, yes.
So
he was awesome.
He was awesome, but it was just kind of funny to watch the leadership in our ward lose their ever-loving mind. So we have an area authority, not a member of the area presidency, just an area authority. And his name is Stephen Larson. He came to visit our ward, and we had gotten word beforehand that he was coming. And you would have thought, by the way our leadership was reacting, that we had a member of the Quorum of the 12 arrive. Oh. I mean, as the Relief Society secretary, I was told to send out a special email. Our daughter Katie, who picks the music, what she generally does is she picks an opening song we all know, a sacrament song, and then if we don't have a musical number, she does a rest hymn that is one of the new hymns, and then the closing song is one that we like. She got a text Sunday morning, hey, we're pulling your rest hymn and we're putting in, what was it? It was I Know My Redeemer Lives. I think that's the one that got put in because, well, nobody knows that one, and I'm just going to feel much more comfortable sitting on the stand next to Elder Larson singing that song. I mean, it was just hilarious. Then the bishop was shaking hands beforehand, and he was all sorts of nervous. And the speakers,
you think he was?
Oh, he came and he talked to Katie and I, and he said he was talking with Katie about something. We were sitting down waiting, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just so nervous with Elder Larson coming," and I'm just like. He's an area authority. He's like an upgraded stake president. He's not a general authority. He just got a bump from a stake president to an area authority. And what was really funny is his talk. He was very personable in his talk and very humble in his talk. And he's just your average guy. And I'm sure he was like, I don't know why y'all are making a fuss over me.
But hold on. We got to start about perfect sacrament.
Oh, we did have a perfect sacrament.
Perfect sacrament
You're
worship, right?
Yes.
And then after the sacrament, Will, one of our priests,
yes,
Will Stewart, he gave an excellent talk.
Yes.
These priests give these youth have stepped
They've leveled
way
up. Way leveled up.
But Will gave a thing on Jesus Christ being the deliverer.
Yes.
And he set the tone.
He did.
For the whole meeting. And then Sister Arnold followed up with another one.
And she was really funny because when she got up, she was like, oh, I was hoping since he was coming, I wouldn't have to give my talk. Yeah. I was really nervous about being judged by him about my talk. And then she's like, then I realized he's not here to judge my talk. And I'm like, he's not here to judge any of us. No. He's here to worship with us. So can we all just chill out?
You know what? And then his talk
mm-hmm.
and President Hans.
Well,
short little thing.
President Hahn just got up and reiterated what previous things right. Speakers had said and threw in one or two sentences.
He's good.
And sat down.
But I really enjoyed it.
It was. He did an
excellent worship for our ward.
It was. Like I said, it was just funny to watch leadership lose their mind. That was what was really funny.
I bet you did like that.
I did like that. We sat in the back and I'm like, pass the popcorn. This is fun.
No, Tiffany.
So yeah, that's what we've been up to. All right.
We got some stories.
Should we do some news?
Yeah, we got a bunch of news.
We do. Now, none of it is like really breaking or hard hitting. It was kind of a slow news week. In fact, I didn't even do any quick clips this week for a couple of reasons. First of all, I was just slammed busy at work. And so I didn't get any quick clips done. And there just wasn't anything really out there that made me go, oh, I want to do a quick clip on that.
Oh, I could have done a couple then.
Well, you should have told me. I would have mic'd you up.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to do them though.
Well, if you tell me you want to do a quick clip, I'll set you up.
Yeah, I've got a few on my mind.
I've got all the equipment. Okay. So anyway, but our first story tonight, this broke yesterday. This is our biggest breaking news of the week. They released 12 new hymns to add to Hymns for Home and Family, because they've kind of been slowly trickling them out. It will be very curious at what point in time do they stop trickling out these hymns and say, okay, we're done and we're going to put it in a book and publish it. But they added a batch of 12 new hymns. None of which I recognized or anything, with the exception of one primary song. There is a primary song called When I Am Baptized, and they have re-released that one, and they have changed the language. Yeah. So in the original version of When I Am Baptized, the line says, I know when I am baptized, my wrongs are washed away, and I can be forgiven and improve myself each day. So that was the original line. This is the new line that we've replaced it with. I know when I am baptized, I choose the Savior's way, and I will be forgiven as I turn to him each day.
How cool is that?
So the change shifts from an emphasis of self-improvement and a single cleansing moment to a covenant choice and an ongoing daily practice of returning to the Savior. Now, I recall another time when a primary hymn was changed. Back when we were children in the 70s, I am a child of God. Spencer Kimball changed the wording in I am a child of God. Do you recall that?
No.
So originally...
I was singing Popcorn on the Apricot Tree.
Well, that was about your speed.
Yeah. Tell me what he changed.
So the original one was Teach Me All That I Must Know to Live with Him Someday. Spencer W. Kimball came in and he said, no. It's not what you know, it's what you do. And he changed it to teach me all that I must do. He made it from passive to action to live with him each day.
Nice.
So that was, I remember that as a child because I grew up learning it as teach me all that I must know. And then it got changed. And then we weren't knowing, we were doing. So anyway, same thing with this particular primary song. So if you're interested in these songs, there is a link to the article in the show notes that gives you some background information about each of the new hymns. And then, of course, you can get on your app, and they are on the app, and you can listen to them on the app and familiarize yourself.
Yeah, no, I had one in here that I like.
Oh, what was the one you like?
And the Still Small Voice.
Oh,
I'm a fan of Elijah.
Okay.
So...
Did you actually listen to the hymn, or you just like the idea?
No, I like that because I know a little bit about Elijah, right?
Okay, let's.
Anyway, it took me to straight First Kings, right?
I
think chapter 19. It just talks about the different way that he was interacted with the Lord, how he heard the Lord.
Oh,
huh?
I like
still
that.
Small voice.
Still small voice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. New hymns. Okay. Our next one. This is one that came out in the Deseret News today. This is very interesting. Okay. 2015. 10 years ago, give or take. Okay. I don't know about you. 2015 really does not seem that long ago to me. No. So this is what's fascinating with this article that came out today. Since 2015, we have added not one, not two, not three, but 8 new members to the Quorum of the 12 in 10 years.
Sweet.
That is pretty much unprecedented, but not entirely. The last time that 8 new apostles were called in just fewer than 10 years, that was between 1951 and 1961. So while we have turnover, we don't have it at the rate and the pace that we have been having it for the last 10 years. And we still have some people in there that could, in the next few years, we still have the possibility of, a little bit more turnover, just based on age. I mean, not that we are wishing ill will or death upon anybody, but Mother Nature will take its course eventually. She always does.
I'm evident of that.
Yes, you are. As we like to say, sometimes your ego forgets your age.
Yes. I've learned that in the last year.
Yes, you have. Anyway, kind of really interesting. And then a lot of the gentlemen that have recently been called, especially starting with Clark Gilbert, who's in his early 50s, we got some young guys in there.
How cool is that?
They're going to be around for a while.
I like that.
I know. In fact, statistically, his probability of being prophet has like just flown off the chart because he's so young. It's kind of like when Bednar was called. Everybody was like, "Ooh, statistically speaking, he's going to be the prophet." Again, we realize we're just kind of joking around. Ultimately, it is the Lord's choice.
We know.
We know of who gets called as prophet, because if he doesn't want you, he's going to call you home. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
That's pretty neat.
Then there was another article that came out today. It was an op-ed, and it was in the Cincinnati Enquirer. So to give a little context to this, because you're probably wondering, why are we talking about an opinion piece from the Cincinnati Enquirer? Last fall, BYU went to the University of Cincinnati, played a football game. There were all sorts of negative things said about Mormons during the football game. There was a lot of fallout from that. There was a member there who had recently survived the Michigan church shooting. She wrote in a letter to the athletic director. Well, the BYU men's basketball team is set to play a basketball game at the University of Cincinnati next week, I believe next Friday or Saturday. And so in anticipation of that, there were 8 members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who live in the Cincinnati area, several of which who attend the University of Cincinnati, who work for the University of Cincinnati. And they did this op-ed piece kind of sharing their experiences at the football game last fall and how that impacted them as members of this University of Cincinnati community, as well as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. One particular gentleman, he is the assistant director of intramural sports and events at the University of Cincinnati. He is also a bishop in his ward. He had gone to the game with his wife and his 3 children, who were 9, 7, and 5. They expected a pleasant evening at the school's final home game. That is not what happened. His youngest son, so the 5-year-old, was old enough to understand what the words meant. And he said he's responded with aggression ever since, experiencing ongoing trauma with what should have been a family outing. And he said the upsetting experience has triggered patterns of yelling and screaming with his young son. And he said children model what they see. And so he made an appeal for the bigotry to stop. And there were students who said the same thing. You know, I feel embarrassed by the way that my school was treating the BYU fans, and said, you know, these chants had nothing to do with football and everything to do with our religious affiliation. There was one who talked about, this was really interesting. She's a Cincinnati adoption specialist. She was a BYU graduate who attended the game. And she said throughout the day, she describes 15 to 25 hostile comments shouted at her. And she said, I can't think of one that wasn't sexual. So in addition to attacking her religion, they are saying very inappropriate things. She said they were all sexual in nature. She said they honed in solely on sexuality. It was incredibly graphic. And she said there are sexual slurs that I won't repeat. And so again, these members of the church who live in the Cincinnati area are calling upon the University of Cincinnati fans as they attend the basketball game this coming week to engage in some civility. You know, they recognize that smack talk is never going to leave the game, but there are lines, and then there are lines that have clearly been crossed. So I thought getting ahead of this was very interesting. And I think it will be fascinating to see, how the students respond next week at the basketball game. Basketball games arenas are obviously much smaller than football arenas, so probably a little bit easier to identify who's creating the problems and kick them out. Second, if there are problems, what action, if any, will the University of Cincinnati take? They chose not to take any action that last time. That's fully within their control. If students or fans are saying inappropriate comments, to yank them out of the arena and say, you're done. So I don't know. Honestly, I hope that there's no smack talk. Not smack talk. There's going to be smack talk. I hope that there are no religious slurs.
Yeah.
I hope that everybody can go, they can cheer their team on, they can have a good time, and hopefully we can move past and repair what happened at the football game last year. But all eyes are going to be on you, University of Cincinnati, and are you going to level up?
Yeah, I think it's a moral thing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
That it is. It's not appropriate.
No.
So let's not do it. Okay, our next article. I picked this one for you. This is entitled, "What a Latter-day Saint Psychiatrist Wishes Every Missionary Knew Before Leaving."
Nice.
Now, you work with the priests, and these priests are thinking about preparing for going on missions. You've seen many of them go on missions and come home. So tell me what your thoughts are on preparing these young men, because you have to prepare physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And this is focused on really the emotional preparation.
Exactly. I think it starts, even when they start out as young men, they're entering the priesthood and following, mentioning the things. But when they're priests, and especially like the seniors that are ready to go, I mean, it's real. I mean, we really talk real that it is hard and there will be changes. If you're used to gaming and sitting around on the TV and scrolling, then that's going to be a big eye opener. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine. So my mission was in 85, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine going from scrolling to, I don't scroll anyway, but you know what I mean?
But the kids today
the normal
do.
thing, to instantly stop.
Yeah.
And it is hard for even, missions are good and they're hard.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what this guy says. And he talks about the struggles that he had on his mission, and that he came home and he decided to study psychology. So he's a medical doctor and a psychiatrist. And one night during his residency, after weeks of long hospital shifts, and he's raising a young family, he wakes up at 3 a.m. and he has hears this thing, or has this impression: the missionaries need your help. And he said, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. It stayed. So he said, I got up and I sat at the kitchen table with a notepad. For the next 3 hours, ideas came and just a flood of revelation. And he talks about, he says, by sunrise, I had outlined a structured approach to mental health education built specifically around missionary life, stress management, homesickness, rejection, companionship, conflict, and emotional resilience.
Nice.
Did you experience any of those on your mission? All of them, some of them.
I never got homesick.
Okay,
no.
Well, that was your home situation was, you were probably like, I'm glad to be out of that.
Enjoyed that. I struggled with companions, right? And obedience, a little bit of obedience, but mainly companions of not getting along, or dirty companions, not cleaning. That was a big thing. But I knew that if I didn't learn to love them, my mission present would keep me with them. So.
Well, the other interesting thing he says from his clinical work and surveys of returned missionaries, he saw a pattern that surprised him. 34% reported depressive symptoms, 34% reported significant anxiety, 14% reported symptoms consistent with OCD, and only 4% reported having no mental health symptoms at all during their mission. So it's a big thing. And he says, I don't want to frame this as a failure of missionaries' faith. Instead, he sees it as kind of predictable. And one of the things he talks about is, he says, especially with the lowering of the mission age, in May, you're a senior graduating from high school. And then 2 months later, you could be in a foreign country, learning a foreign language, experiencing something totally different.
Yeah.
And he said, just the, that can just be shocking. And I really liked what he said, where he said, just because you can go at 18 doesn't necessarily mean you should go at 18. Some kids are going to be ready to go at 18. Some kids are going to need a year or two to mature and prepare before they're ready to go.
I needed to be out at like age 28.
Yeah.
29 area.
Probably
But yes, there is.
There's menace to your mission president.
There is a difference. Yeah, I wish I could go back. But there is a difference in age and maturity that really helps. Tiffany, I really liked talking about this. I think the best thing these young men can find these things through is their patriarchal blessings as they turn. Your boss, Kurt Frankham, had this mission president on one of his podcasts that just talked about how the mission president fixed things just by teaching these missionaries to learn about themselves and understand the gifts that they'd been given. And once they learned that, the other things kind of just left, you know what I mean, without concentrating them. So I love how he's teaching these and going through this, because missions
they're hard.
Yeah. And there's nothing worse for a young man or a sister missionary to go out and come home because they're homesick or for something that maybe they'll regret, you know what I mean? To just give them you know what I mean? It's not fun to see them come home like that.
Exactly.
You know, it hurts.
And I remember a few years ago, we had a sister missionary in our ward, and she was the most candid I have ever heard in a homecoming. She had gone to California and she came home and she got up in her homecoming and she was just like, this was really hard.
Yeah.
And she just went through like all of the stuff that she struggled with and was really hard on her mission. And I really appreciated her transparency and her candor to acknowledge and recognize, you know, and she had obviously some moments of spirituality as well. But so often we create this fantasy of what a mission is supposed to be and how spiritually wonderful in this time of great spiritual growth. And we don't talk about or acknowledge the hard stuff. So then when it happens on the mission, which it will, the kids think of themselves as a failure, and they're not a failure.
Oh, no.
It's part of their learning and their growing process and part of what they need to learn on their mission. So I like that we're being more open about it.
Yeah. And I don't know young women or women very good, as you well know.
Oh, I will know that.
But a young man at that age, it is a good thing to boost your young adulthood into like, I mean, okay, you got to clean your clothes. You've had a mom cleaning your clothes for how long? And then you get stuck. Okay, you better know how to do your wash, right?
Yeah.
Whites, darks. I mean, most missionaries just chuck them in together, at least in the 80s. But
not sure there's much difference.
No, but just that and getting along with the companion, you know what I mean? To teach them that you got to get along.
Yeah.
So figure it out.
Yeah, you can't have the spirit if you're fighting.
I mean, that's where I learned companionship prayer was with wonderful companions that I had that taught me. So.
Okay, I thought one of the things he said that I really enjoyed is he said, if I could teach every future missionary one skill, it wouldn't be memorizing lessons or improving study habits. It would be having a diverse set of self-soothing tools. And this goes right in line with what you were just saying about many coping habits teenagers rely on are sleeping in, constant music, texting friends. Those disappear overnight with missionary life. And so if you don't have a replacement habit, that stress is going to build quickly. And so he recommends simple practices that fit the mission rules, like journaling, breathing exercises, mindfulness, creative expression. So some self-soothing tools that help you deal with that anxiety you feel as a missionary. If you can leave on your mission with some of those tools already in place, it might not be as emotionally jarring as it would otherwise.
Nice. I really like this. In fact, I'm going to use some of this stuff in our quorum.
Good.
For that purpose.
I love it.
Excellent.
I love it. Gonna have them practice some deep breathing.
No, we won't do that one.
All right.
Maybe holding our breath as long as we can.
I don't think that's a self-soothing tool.
It is for me.
All right. Our next one, garment history. So this was a podcast that Mormon Land did. They're a podcast that Salt Lake Tribune does. And they interviewed two women. They interviewed Nancy Ross and Jessica Finnegan. And there was an article in the Salt Lake Tribune about the podcast that kind of summarized it. And I listened to the podcast and it was fascinating. Anyway, so these two women have a book that's coming out that is called Mormon Garments, Sacred and Secret. And so they just kind of go through the history of Mormon garments, and they talk about Joseph Smith had this vision of garments, and it was based on what he had seen some of the apostles and people who he'd had spiritual visitations from wearing. And at that time, apparently, I'm not really sure what underwear was like in the 1830s and 1840s, but it was unlike anything that he had seen in this vision. And so they talk about he'd hired this seamstress to create what he'd seen, and she went through 2 or 3 cuttings of his fabric before he's like, no, because he's trying to describe to her what he's seen, and it's unlike anything she's ever made before. And so he makes these garments, and at that time, they weren't really worn on the daily like what they're worn now. But a lot of folklore came out of those early garments. And here is some of the folklore that came out of those early garments.
Here we go.
This starts with the death of the prophet Joseph Smith. So at Carthage, he was not wearing his garments, but there were other people there who were, and they did not die. So that is where the myth of the folklore of the garments provide a physical protection came from. There's also a story that before he went, he and Emma had a discussion, and Emma's like, you can't wear your garments. They'll never be able to kill you if you have your garments on. So that
wasn't real.
No, that wasn't real. That was total folklore.
Yeah.
But that's where it was through that folklore where that myth grew, that, you hear all these stories of, oh, I had my garments on and I wasn't burned where my garments were. And, they provide this physical protection, which now the world has then taken and gone, oh, your magic underwear. And that's where that term has come from. And the church has tried to distance itself from the physical protection, and they have switched more to they provide a spiritual protection. And I think that is a much more accurate description of garments than a physical protection.
They do.
But least you think there has been consternation over the style of garments only in the last 20 to 25 years. This has been going on for 100 plus years. So in 1923 is when they made the first significant change to garments, and it was after a lot of the really old school apostles died out who were not in favor of that change. Oh, also I have to say, Brigham Young is responsible for the daily wearing of garments. He made a statement that said, "Let no man be without his garments." So that instructed everybody they were to wear them.
He's my boy.
Some people took this a little literally.
Oh.
They say that Joseph F. Smith never took off his garments completely. At some point, the church had to issue a letter telling church leaders they need to stop telling members that they must wear them when they're being intimate with their spouse. Some people were doing that. I think a lot of people were doing that because they had to issue a letter. Anyway.
You don't need to tell me.
No, you don't. Anyway, so they made these new changes in 1923 where they were shortened to just below the knee and the elbow. Ties were changed. Then in the 1930s, there was another adjustment. In fact, there was a discussion in the 1930s of sleeveless garments.
Oh, of course there was.
But there was no sleeveless garments that came out of the 1930s. They adopted all of these recommendations in the 1930s, except for the sleeveless garments. Mm-hmm. There was a feeling that the women would take too many liberties with the sleeves and fashion if they had sleeveless garments, mm-hmm. and they would be vain. So then we get to the 1950s. So there was this whole association with garments and sexual purity. And we can thank Spencer W. Kimball for that.
Oh, I grew up with him.
He was an apostle when he made this statement. He was not a prophet,
Okay.
but it was at BYU. And he's telling young adults, and especially the women, that their bodies need to be covered for sexual purity, and garments are enforcing those standards. So I would venture to say for the next 40 years, maybe even 50 years after that, that was the messaging that we as women received.
Good.
No, it was not received well.
Oh.
It was not received well at all.
Did you pray about it?
I did not pray about it.
Well, you should have.
That wouldn't have changed it. Trust me. Anyway, and so then they also talk about, the radical change going from the one piece to the two piece in the late 1979 and 1980s. And then just today, we have a variety of styles and fabrics, and they have evolved to fit different bodies, to deal with different health issues, especially I can't say that word, especially women's health issues, your girly parts. Anyway, very, very interesting podcast.
Yes, they've done a great job, I think, on supplying all different kinds.
Exactly. Huh? Both men and women. I was trying to talk you this week into wearing the tank top, and you were like, no, I'm not going to do the tank top. No. I tried to tell you all the really cool people we know, men who I have been told are wearing the tank top. And you still were like, no.
No.
He's old school, 100% cotton crew neck, 80s boy right here.
A wife beater garment.
A wife beater garment, yeah.
No, I don't think that. I'll stay with Brigham Young.
Would you try it once?
No.
You won't even try it once.
No. Nah.
No. You did the concepts just, would you feel like naked if you were wearing it, do you think?
Something would be wrong right here.
Because it's a very thin material as well.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah. Not even. It's either on or off. There's not a half. Okay? I'm not like.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
It's a discussion we've had many times. All right. Let's talk about
Are we done there?
Yeah,
Are we done with the garments?
Unless you have anything else you want to say on garments.
Oh,
I don't want to cut you off.
Garments. I think it's great. I think it is. It's part of my marriage. It's part of my commitment to Heavenly Father and you, and spiritual protection.
Yes, spiritual protection.
Thing.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to Jennifer Finlinson-Fife. So Jana Reese did a little interview with Jennifer Finlinson-Fife.
And I do know who this is.
Yes. If you don't know who Jennifer Finlinson-Fife is, she is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She has a doctorate in counseling and psychology, and about 90% of her clients come from Latter-day Saint backgrounds because she's essentially a sex therapist. Probably, maybe not like a sex therapist, but she deals with sexual issues in Latter-day Saint relationships.
And the stuff I've heard from her, I like. I listen to it quite a bit.
She has a podcast that you had listened to it, and
I asked you.
You asked me, and I said, "Oh yeah, I totally know who that is." And you were like, "You do? You know who Jennifer is?"
Huh?
I said, "Yeah, she's really cool."
I was trying to learn a few things.
You were trying to learn a few things, and she's
so awesome.
She's a very wise woman to learn a few things from.
She's good.
She's very open, very transparent. In fact, she talks about, I was just blown away when she recounts this story to Jana Reese. So she says about 15 years ago. So that would be like 2010, 2011. To me, that doesn't seem that long ago. So she did an event for Relief Society, and the women attending could write private questions, and then Jennifer Finlinson-Fife would answer them for the whole group. So one of the questions she received was, "I've never had an orgasm. What can I do?" So Jennifer Finlinson-Fife prefaces her response saying, "I didn't think any of the church's general authorities would agree with my answer, but her advice as a therapist was, first, you have to take time with yourself and figure your body out. Now, she clarified, she said, I wasn't advocating masturbation just so the woman could go in the basement and look at porn. She said, I needed her to become familiar with her body so she could enter her relationship with her husband more fully and understand her own body to know what would give her pleasure, which would then be a gift to her marriage. I think that is most excellent advice Jennifer gave her. Well, one of the audience members disagreed and didn't see it that way. And so she went and tattled on Jennifer to the bishop that she was promoting masturbation in church. And then the bishop discouraged Relief Society women from listening to her advice. If you want to know why there is a lot of sexual dysfunction in LDS marriages, that right there would be the reason. In my never to be humble opinion.
I would have never known.
Yes, you would have.
Yeah.
We have friends. Our friends talk. We know what's going on and what's not.
I am glad we figured this out, though.
Yes. Anyway, so I just think that there is, again, you and I have talked about this before on the podcast. Yeah. This is an important element of marriage. Like, it is a necessary element of marriage. It is an element of marriage that the Lord expects you to have in your marriage and wants you to have and wants it to be enjoyable and desirable for both partners, not just a one-sided thing.
It is a big part of our marriage.
It is. And it connects you physically. It connects you emotionally. It connects you spiritually. And so, and that's what Jennifer Finlinson Fife is saying is she's like, if you're not there and you want to be, figure it out, and there's no shame in figuring it out. But I think for LDS women, sometimes it is just so hard to get beyond that sexual purity messaging that was just pounded into our brains in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, that it does take a lot of work to expand and get beyond that. Any comment?
I could talk a lot about this, actually.
Well, what'd you like to say, Darren? I'm sitting here flapping my jaw, expressing my opinion.
No, there was part of our marriage where we didn't understand this part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Plus we had other stuff, our exes and different lives, you know what I mean? But I mean, it is something that is bound us together.
Exactly.
And for a man to have his wife trust him, right? She needs to know that her man is not dwelling or thinking or looking at porn on other women. So I think one of my prayers at that time when we were really, really trying, right, was impressed by my mind, Heavenly Father, one woman that I see as attractive or any sexual, right, is based upon my wife. And I think that was a huge thing that as soon as I started praying about that, which was able to let you feel my full trust, right? And know that I'm 100%. In a million years, I will love you.
And then when I was able to feel that full trust, I opened up to you in a way that I'd never opened up before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Excellent.
Right.
Love it.
I know. In fact, one of the things I learned from this article, and you and I both agreed, we're like, we're going to have to go subscribe to this.
Yeah.
So Jennifer Finlinson Fife has her regular podcast, but then she also has a more targeted podcast that is called Room for Two. And it is a subscription-based podcast in which she specifically coaches real-life couples about sex and intimacy. And apparently listening to it feels a bit like reading someone else's email or perhaps somebody read yours.
Oh.
So we are such big fans of hers that, maybe we'll have to go subscribe and check that out, see what she has to say. We could learn a thing or two.
Well,
we're always open to learning.
Always.
Okay, this next one. I liked this one.
Oh,
there's
I really
a couple.
like this.
They have been married for 80 years. He's
Hold
100.
on. I read this one on my own, like early this week.
Okay.
Or sometime this week.
Okay.
And I really liked it. So.
You were happy when I picked it.
I was, yes.
Well, I picked it because I knew you'd like it, even if you hadn't read it. When we record, I always try and pick stuff that I'm like, okay, Darren will like this.
My first thought was 80 years. Are you serious? Was it more like 60 and he's 80 years old?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? 80 years. That is like.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
He's 101 and she's 100. So they've been kicking around for a while. Anyway, they talk about some of the secrets to their marriage. He was in the military. They moved around a lot. One of the things that was for them was to stay active in the church wherever you are. That was a piece of advice, and to serve in the church wherever you are. They also talk about, even though they couldn't always get to the temple because of where they lived, that their temple marriage reminded them of their covenants. And then one of the things that was really fun is they have had companionship prayer for 80 years. And their daughter talks about that. And their daughter says the way they treat each other when they continue to pray each night. She sits down and my dad kneels next to her. It's pretty humbling to watch them do that. Still, to know that they've done that for 80 years is pretty incredible. We liked that. We are big fans of companionship prayer.
Yeah. That is the biggest thing right there.
Exactly.
Huh.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Companionship prayer.
That was revolutionary for us.
Yes.
Very revolutionary.
If you haven't tried it,
do it.
And it's not easy.
No.
Sorry.
No.
It's like telling these young men about a mission.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And you got to make a commitment that you're just going to do it.
And don't feel like you're repetitious after a while. Just keep praying your heart.
Yep.
And communicate.
Okay. Next story. Latter-day Saint Olympic Dreams leads to helping to plan the 2027 Temple Open House. So there is a gentleman. His name is David Zembrennen. And he is like a super Olympic fan. He talks about in 1992, he watched the Barcelona games and he decided, I want to go to the Olympics, but not as a competitor. He wanted to go as a volunteer. So the next time the Olympics rolled around was in Atlanta, Georgia, and he got himself there as a volunteer. Since then, he's participated, he said, in 13 different Olympics. Wow. And he goes and he does all sorts of things, from helping to coordinate volunteers, to being a tape runner for NBC, to passing out towels to athletes. Whatever it is, they tell him to do. And so he has been, and not only has he done that, so when he's not doing that, he works as a substitute teacher, but he also spent 12 years with Disney, including 8 years on a Disney cruise line. He was responsible for 1,500 staff members in 80 countries. He's also done a lot of, he's worked behind the scenes at major sporting events, including the Super Bowl, college football national championships, NBA games.
Wow.
So what is all of this leading to? They have pegged him to help with the logistics and the coordination of the Salt Lake Temple Open House.
Well, they found the right person.
Wow,
this dude's incredible.
Exactly. So he will be helping with a lot of the logistics and the volunteers. And he says,
you like logistics.
Oh, I love logistics.
This sounds.
This is so up my alley, because anytime this is awful. Anytime we go to a play or any production or anything like that, I mean, I'm enjoying the play, but I'm also watching all of the logistics and how are they doing this and how are they doing that, and trying to it's like a puzzle to me that I'm trying to put together. So logistics, I'm your girl. So I find, and when we go down to the Temple Open House, let me tell you, I may do a whole podcast just on what I observed with the logistics. I have some thoughts on that, by the way.
Nice.
Anyway, he says the Olympics are 17 days and this is going to be 6 months. This will be like the Olympics on steroids. It's been rewarding. The Lord prepares you whether you know it or not. So
that is cool.
It is really cool. Matt and Melissa covered this last week, that the conference center is going to close. They use the conference center for a whole bunch of various and assorted things other than conference, but they are only going to use the conference center for the next little while for General conference, I would assume probably the Christmas concert, but all the other stuff that they do at the conference center and tours and stuff that they do at the conference center, they're not going to do. I think they're going to do a little renovation on the conference center, but I have this theory. They're expecting 20,000 visitors a day to the Salt Lake Temple, which is for over the 6-month open house. That's insane. And so they've also asked the city of Salt Lake to close the street between the conference center and Temple Square, which the city has agreed to do. I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to funnel those people into the conference center, and they will line us up like cattle in the seats at the conference center. And then when it's your turn for your group, you will proceed. And so they will be rotating through all of the seats in the conference center, and that's where they're going to line people up, and then they'll take them in groups of however many they're going to take them, every 10 minutes, however they're going to do that. But that's my theory, is we won't be standing on the street in a line waiting. I think we will be at the conference center, and people will have walkie-talkies going, send the next group of 50. Send the next group of 50. Wouldn't surprise me if they have the little flags. If you've ever gone to a foreign country on a tour, they have a flag, and they're like, follow the orange flag, and your little group follows the orange flag.
20,000 people a day. Can you imagine?
I can't even imagine. That's my take on how I think they're going to do the logistics. My little logistical brain.
Well, we're going to have to go see.
Oh, we're for sure going to go see.
A few times.
So we don't want to be greedy. We really only need to go once.
Okay.
We need to go at least once. I don't know. We'll see. All righty. Speaking of temples, the temple in Fairview, Texas. Now, this is Fairview, Texas is a suburb of Dallas. Yeah, it's about this one. Yeah. So it's a suburb of Dallas. And there was a lot of controversy surrounding this Fairview temple. The people in Fairview did not want this temple. They thought it was too big. The steeple was too high. And even when the church agreed to concessions to reduce the square footage of the building from 45,000 feet to 30,000 feet and the steeple from 174 to 120, there still was a lot of opposition. But legally, here's where the city got in a pickle. They couldn't legally deny it, even though they wanted to deny it. And the church basically said, well, if you're going to do that, we're going to have to sue you on a First Amendment grounds, which usually the church doesn't do. But they were just, not in my backyard. We don't want Mormons here. So they eventually acquiesced, but there are still lots and lots and lots of hard feelings in this town. So they did the groundbreaking on the temple this last weekend on February 21st. It was a relatively quiet affair. Now, if you've ever been to a groundbreaking on a temple, they invite people and there's lots of people and they make it a big deal. You cannot tell from the pictures, because from the pictures, you just see the people up close, digging the dirt, turning the shovel over. But what I saw on Facebook afterwards was an email that got sent to the members of the Allen, Texas stake that said, oh, by the way, we did this groundbreaking and we did it very quietly because we didn't want to have a lot of fanfare. We didn't want to upset the people in the town. We didn't want to have protests. And so they did this groundbreaking very, very quietly. And it is interesting because Elder Schmidt, who did the groundbreaking, part of his prayer was, we pray that the hearts will be softened and that all children will feel of thy light, grace, and goodness that will emanate from this holy place.
Nice.
So
that's cool.
Hopefully once,
pray.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure the members of down there are praying for that, for the softening of those hearts. I'm sure that there will be anti-Mormon protests during the open house. We had them here in Idaho during the Meridian Temple open house. So that brings me to another temple.
Bless them.
Bless them.
Oh, really? Bless them, huh?
That brings me to another temple story. We have a temple in Houston, Texas. It was originally just called the Houston, Texas South Temple. But the church came out this week and said, oh, we're going to call it the Fort Bend, Texas Temple, because it sits along Fort Bend Parkway. This is consistent with a trend that the church has done. rather than call it, the Boise Temple or the Meridian Temple. Well, that's obviously what they did in Idaho here. They have been focusing more on geographic locations and naming area
Okay.
and naming the temple after the geographic location. Now, in Idaho, all of our temples in Idaho are actually named after cities like the Boise Temple, the Meridian Temple, the Burley Temple, the Pocatello Temple. We have one
Twin Falls Temple.
Twin Falls Temple. We have one temple that is going to be the Teton River Temple. And that is the second temple in Rexburg because they already have a Rexburg temple.
Nice.
So that begs the question.
I like the name of that one, though.
I do. I like the Teton River Temple.
Yeah.
We have a temple that has been announced for Caldwell, Idaho. Now, which is in the valley here. We believe, or at least I believe, I know the church has not officially announced where the location is.
But you think you know.
Lots of sleuthing has led me to believe that I know where it is. It's on Highway 55 in Caldwell at the intersection of Florida and Lake. I've discussed that on the podcast. So I put out there some names. I said, no.
Hold on. This will be kind of funny if it really doesn't land there.
Oh, it will be. Do we need to make a bet?
No.
I am so confident in this. I will make you a bet.
Okay. It's on.
It's on. So I was looking geographically speaking, if they did not want to call this the Caldwell, Idaho Temple, what could they call it? It's near Lake Lowell. We could call it the Lake Lowell Temple. Which would be hilarious because Lake Lowell is kind of a crappy lake.
Yeah, we don't want it to be called Lake Lowell. But
there are a bunch of church orchards very near the temple. So I was like, maybe we call it the Orchard View Temple. But again, unless you know that those are church, well, it's an area that has a lot of orchards. So I guess you could call it the Orchard View Temple. It is also very near the Deer Flat National Wildlife Refuge. So I was like, oh, maybe they call it the Deer Flat Temple. It's if they want to break with, if they want to keep their new tradition of a geographic area versus calling it the city's temple like Caldwell.
I like the orchard.
The Orchard View. I like that too.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see. All right.
Hold on, but we really got to bet on that, right?
Oh yeah, we'll bet on the location, not the name.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we going to bet? Are we going to do that offline?
Yeah.
Same thing. Our typical bet.
Thing.
Okay. We can't share with you what our typical bet is.
You're going to lose.
We want to keep this show somewhat G-rated.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose. All right. We are running short on time. So we either have to pick this story or this story. Which one you want to do?
Do this one.
Okay.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. That's great. Okay. So this is a story.
Have I been talking too much?
No, I've been talking too much.
Oh.
You need to talk more.
Okay.
So you're going to go, Tiffany.
No, I'm just fine.
Give your husband some airtime. You suck all the oxygen out.
You really do, but I'm good with it.
I admit that. I give forth I project very strong firstborn energy.
Yeah.
Can't help myself.
And I'm a number 2.
And you're a number 2. That's why we get along so well.
Is it?
Except you're number 2 who has a lot of firstborn tendencies.
I want to run over the top.
Yeah. And that's probably because your older brother doesn't exude the kind of firstborn energy that I do.
Sometimes I want to take over.
Exactly. All right. So this last story before we get to Mormons behaving badly is a story about why is there opening prayer before a BYU games. President shane-reese-weighs-in. This was a story in the Daily Universe. So if you've ever been to a BYU game, which I'm guessing you've probably never been to a BYU game.
No.
They start every game with a prayer. They've done that for years and years and years. And so they ask President Reese about that. And he says, it's really interesting when teams come in who've never been at BYU before, especially their presidents go, okay, well, that's a little different because they're not used to it. But he says other university presidents who maybe are religious themselves will come in and go, oh, that's really cool. I wish we could do that, but our school won't allow that. And so President Reese says that one of the conversations he had with President Holland is President Holland, during his first bout of illness, he was with President Holland. President Holland said, "You need to teach the importance of prayer. The church needs to have it more frequently." So
Nice.
he is always about, we're going to pray. This article was really fascinating as well. The BYU basketball coach, he's a gentleman by the name of Kevin Young.
A stud.
He came out of the NBA, and he said in the article, he said, "Oh, I've been praying long before I got to BYU." He said, "I did that in the NBA, believe it or not. The whole time I was with Monty Williams, we opened every single coaching meeting with a prayer and said a prayer in the locker room before every game."
Wow. He's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit Mormons behaving badly really quick. I got two things. I'll hit on them really fast. First of all, Brother Donny, as in Donny Osmond.
Yeah.
He's got a little lawsuit.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand it.
This woman attended his Las Vegas show. Her name is Joanne Jelkowski, and she claims she was struck by an inflatable lit up ball while in the audience, and she's now suing Brother Osmond. You were like, "Is that like a beach ball?" And I said, "I think it is a lighted up beach ball that they're, you've been to games and stuff when beach balls and concerts, beach balls are being tossed around."
Oh.
Anyway, apparently this beach ball somehow hit her in the eye, and she's seeking $15,000 in damages. She is alleged.
Am I allowed to giggle a little?
Oh, yes.
No? Okay.
You can giggle a lot.
Okay.
She's claiming she suffered severe emotional distress, including psychological trauma, fear, anxiety, PTSD, and the loss of enjoyment of life.
She's going to get some big money out of this?
She is claiming that she had to have surgery to repair a retinal detachment in her right eye. Now, I'm a lawyer, and when I see that your damages that you're suing for, which include all of these, are only $15,000,
that's it.
That tells me you weren't seriously injured. Because if you were seriously injured, you'd be suing for a whole lot more money. And so it really makes me question the legitimacy of your lawsuit.
Bummer.
Is all I have to say. So poor Donny and his production company have to defend themselves. And then I have to call out BYU for Mormons behaving badly this week too.
Oh.
So BYU, if you have children who are planning on going there, applications recently went in and decision letters recently went out.
Huh.
Well, it came out today that there were 9 acceptance there was lots of acceptance letters that went out, but there were 9 acceptance letters that went out in error. So the students get a letter in their email saying, "Woohoo, you've been accepted to BYU."
No way.
And then BYU, for whatever reason, realizes, "Oh, you weren't on the list of acceptance." So then they send the students another email saying, "JK, just kidding. You really weren't accepted to BYU." So there has been lots of fun chatter on the internet today going,
"Are you joking about this?"
No, I'm totally serious.
Bummer.
Lots of fun chatter on the internet today with people chiding BYU going, "Are you kidding? It's 9 students. Let them in. You can accommodate 9 students. You're a 30,000 person university. It's not like you sent out 200 and you're retracting them. Right. It's 9 people." I'm going to kind of have to.
I wonder how they got in that pile.
I have no idea. BYU is refusing to comment on that. But I am kind of in the camp of, oh, come on, it's 9 people, let them in.
I mean,
if they can't cut it, they're going to fail and they'll be gone anyway, and they'll transfer somewhere else. But anyway, so yeah, I kind of feel bad for those 9 students, and I think it's kind of a cheesy move that BYU is doing. All right. That about wraps it up for us. I think I've sucked pretty much all the oxygen out of the room, except we do have to do favorite things.
Oh.
So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Please.
Okay. I will share my little favorite thing. So Easter, I love to decorate the house for holidays.
I love it.
I've got a whole rotation of decorating the house. So as soon as Valentine's Day is over with, Easter comes out. Okay. Well, the problem is Easter's relatively early this year. Easter's the first weekend in April. And the next decorations I have after Easter are my patriotic decorations. And I'm like, I can't put my patriotic decorations up in April. That's ridiculous. So I've had to come up with an interim decoration. So I have decided to do a summer decoration, and I have gone citrus. So I have been making these little, if you're on the YouTube, you can see this, these little felt like citrus things I got on Etsy. I found some patterns. I've been sewing them. I'm going to stuff them. They're going to be really cute. But I had to get myself some citrus felt. And if you go into the craft store, like hard box, big box retail, you can find about 4 different colors of felt if you're lucky. So I had to go on Etsy, and I ordered myself some felt on Etsy. This is my big old pile of felt that I ordered on Etsy in every citrus color I could imagine. And it is really nice felt. It's an acrylic blend with wool. So it's like half wool, half acrylic. It's very nice, much better than the stuff you get in the store. Much more expensive than the stuff you get in the store. But if you're into felting like I am, I highly recommend Etsy felt. All right. That was my favorite thing. What are you going to share?
I'm going to share a talk that you sent me.
Oh, I did.
It is your boss. Not.
I think he would like to call himself supervisor.
Supervisor.
He's our lead. There's 10 attorneys, and he's like the lead attorney is technically what his title is.
Well, I call him your boss.
You call him my boss, but he prefers supervisor.
Okay.
Anyway.
So the first time I met him was in a Walmart?
No, Costco. We had run to Costco on a Friday night, and he was there picking up his daughter was getting married the next day. He was there with his sons, and we turned a corner, and he was there, and
this was after a few years of you working there, right?
And you gave him this big old hug, and he's not a hugger. It was really funny. He went home and told his wife, he's like, I got a hug from Tiffany's husband. She's like, from Tiffany? No, her husband. She gave me a really big hug and said, I'm so sorry you have to deal with her Monday through Friday.
I really meant it.
You did. 8 to 5.
It was compassion.
Exactly.
Anyway, you sent me a talk, and I had no idea because the way you talk about him and the few times I've met him, he's very quiet.
He's very quiet.
He's very, very humble. Okay?
Yes.
And he's a bishop.
He's a bishop. He's a member of the church. He's a bishop.
Tim Thomas.
Thomas is his name.
You sent me a talk from BYU Education Week?
BYU Idaho Education Week.
Okay. From
2018, he did this talk.
And he starts talking about goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never heard a talk that puts goals in the way he formats it and teaches of goals. And the way he starts out is our relationship with Heavenly Father and our Father in heaven.
Yeah.
So I won't talk much about it. So your fans can get. I'm sure you can link them up to it.
We will link them up to it, but give them just like a little overview of what you liked about the talk, so that then, because it's an hour. It's an hour talk. It's a commitment. It's not a TED talk.
I just love how he starts. First off, identifying yourself. You know what I mean, and your relationship with Heavenly Father, and being able to have that great of faith in asking Heavenly Father, hey, here's some things that are important to me or that I want in my life, right? And then just the basis of how he goes about that, and pretty much manifesting your goals through faith and prayer and understanding of what Heavenly Father wants for us too. So,
and this is something he's been passionate about for years.
So I've already commented to you. I've got to come on. We're going to have a campfire out back and have the priest and have him teach it, because he teaches it in such a different way that I've heard goals taught, to the young men.
Exactly.
So it's wonderful.
Exactly. All right. Well, I'll get Kurt to link that in the show notes then. So anybody who wants to go listen to it can go listen to it.
Yeah. Excellent.
All right. That hour went fast, Darren.
For you?
Yeah. Was it painful for you?
It was. No, it was not.
Did it drag on for you?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Well, I appreciate you coming and still being willing to do this with me. Never in my wildest dreams did I thought you'd be a one and done.
No, I'm ready for one a week. You know what I mean? But you seem to push me off.
One a month is enough for your ego.
Okay. One a month.
One a month. All right, listeners, thank you very much for joining us tonight on the T Wild Date Edition. Tiffany or Darren and Tiffany engage. We very much appreciate you listening to us. If you have any comments, you can reach out at comment@thisweekinlatterday's.com. I believe Kurt has that up and running now. And of course, you can leave comments on Facebook. We try and read and respond if we can. And we just appreciate your support. Thank you.